Get the vibe right. Welcome to the show. Bison Spotlight. Chip and B Smooth, bringing heat to your ears. EWash in the mix, facing down all fears. From the court to the crowd where the legends are born. Howard University, we're breaking the norm. Bison Nation stands strong through thick and thin. Basketball vibes, it's more than a win. Every dribble, every shot, it's a story to tell. Ray of excellence, we ringing the bell. Chip Washington's the name, self-proclaimed fanatic. In the heart of the game, his passion's emphatic. Come on, let's ride with the Bison crew. Passion and pride in everything we do. Hoops and dreams, we're reaching for the stars. Bison Brothers Podcast is who we are. Come on, let's ride with the Bison crew. Passion and pride in everything we do. Hoops and dreams, we're reaching for the stars. Bison Brothers Podcast is who we are.
Welcome to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, your number one home for all things Bison basketball. My name is Chip Washington, the self-appointed Bison basketball fanatic.
What's up, Bison Nation? It's your boy B Smooth, still the lover of all things Howard and the lover of all things basketball. Glad to be here tonight. Whew. What's up, E?
What's up, man? It's EWash, man. I'm just flooded with thoughts and emotion. And the first thing, two things pop in my mind. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible, man. And I'm gonna do my best to bear down under these circumstances.
He's making this hard on everyone. So for all those that are NFL fans, just know that in addition to basketball, EWash has a serious Jones for all things Chicago.
Ooh, Lord have mercy.
And the news is they're in the playoffs. So congratulations on making the playoffs. And it's nothing is impossible if the Bears are in the playoffs. So that's incredible. That's incredible. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you yet again for our weekly recaps, our insights, our over and under reactions. We even have a little what's good for basketball and some closing thoughts. We are now in the meat of the season. We are wrapping up, a holiday time, and that means we wrapped up our non-conference schedule. So we'll get into that in a little bit and tell you about our first road trip down to lovely Orangeburg, South Carolina, where I don't think there are a lot of Bears fans. There are a lot of Bulldog fans, but not a lot of Bear fans. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Chip, before we get into the show like we normally do, let people know why we do what we do.
Bison Nation, we continue to ask everyone to plead with everyone to support these championship teams. And you can do that in so many ways. You can donate to the Name, Image, and Likeness Collective. It's called the MEAC Society. You can do that by going to the MEACsociety.org. You can also donate through the Bison Express Booster Club at hubison.com. And you can give through FanStake at fanstake.com using the code MECA25. And please continue. We saw it in Orangeburg on the road. I think we might even seen a little bit at Army at West Point. Show up, cheeks in seats, butts in seats. Go to the games. The teams continue to say that they love seeing Bison Nation at the games. And as always, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to continue to tell everybody about this podcast. You can hear us on so many platforms. You can hear us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and you can interact with us on Instagram at Bison Brothers Basketball. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, give us your comments, tell everybody about this podcast. Bison Nation is for you. And fellas, let's get into this show. I can't wait to get started.
Oh yeah. This is my favorite time of year. Oh my gosh. We have so much to cover today. I know before we get into it, want to shout out a couple of folks. I know you like the cheeks and seats. We got a couple of folks that are doing some big things. Shout out Liv for hoops. She got a really cool deal with HBCU Go, and talented young lady brings you a lot of insights on all things HBCU sports and basketball. And she's been a friend of the show, so we want to make sure we shout her out. You know, if you all are following her as well, there's only a few of us telling the stories that need to be told, so we got to lift everybody up. So thank you, Liv, for your shout outs. She came in the clutch this weekend when we needed to get the word out about some cool things we were able to do in Orangeburg, right? EWash, man, I know it's good for you to know you have fans. And it's always still surprising to me when we run across fans that say, "Are you the one with the glasses? Are you the one that talks about Morehouse?" I'm like, "No, I'm the one who jokes Morehouse." Yeah, the other guy talks about Morehouse. But we know that as we've been doing the show a little over a year and a half almost now, we're moving. It's been cool to see how the fans walk up to us still and say, "Hey, we follow you guys. Love your show." Oh, that's Chip. That's smooth. Where's EWash? Where's EWash? They love us. They love us. They love us. But I want to make sure that you know that we enjoy you all following the show. We enjoy the fact that you all take time to really listen in and provide your input. So as we've been doing recently, just make sure in the comments when you check out the show, we're going to ask a couple of questions. And hopefully you can let us know how right I am and how wrong Chip and EWash are. It's been consistent. I'm trying to run away with this thing. I don't need it to be close by the end of the season, but just make sure you chime in and keep engaging. Hit the like button, as Chip would say. But I tell you what, man, you all ready to get into it? Because we're gonna get into recaps and insights here. And the way we're gonna do it today is that this was the cutover episode. So if you've been checking out everything, and I know Chip, you can pull it up for us, but we have some MEAC episodes that are out doing the MEAC preview. We're going to catch you up on what we did to end the non-conference schedule, and then we're going to jump right in after that into our very first conference game this past weekend. So looking forward to that. But right after the break, we're going to come right into recaps and insights. Stay tuned. Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. Hey, welcome back to the show. It's your boy B Smooth. I got Chip Washington and EWash. He still was good for basketball. Not so good for the Bears, but he's definitely good for basketball. And it's good. It's good. It's good to see you, brother. It's good to see you. We're at one of our favorite parts of the show. And again, we're going to break it up today. We're going to talk about a couple of recaps because we want to finish what we started. We started with the non-conference schedule, after we started with the preseason, after we started with the NIL and all the transfers. So we keep the party going, but we want to close out strong. And there were a couple of games during the holiday that we want to just catch up on, see if there's anything new that we can share from those games. And then we're going to switch gears and get into the first MEAC matchup for the men and women, which is with South Carolina State down in Orangeburg, South Carolina. So to get started, let's go ahead and get into it with the ladies. They started us off the holiday week with a quick run up to West Point and spent some time with Army. Thank you for your service. I don't thank you for the outcome of the game, but I do thank you for your service. I do thank you for your service. So let's see if we can jump into that. What do we see with the ladies playing their last non-conference game against Army?
So, to let everybody know, the score was 64-56. Army pulled out that W. It's two words for me. Kaya Smith.
Oh, boy. I'm so glad you remember that name. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yes. Bison Nation got to know her with the way that she played. She had 27 points, 22 rebounds. That's enough right there. So she had the game of her life against us, and that's her right there with the reverse layup. Oh yeah, she was killing. To me,
how tall is she, Chip? How tall is she?
That's a good question. Let me see. I want to say she's at least 6. Yeah, I'd have to look it up and see. I don't remember, but to me, I guess I would say the storyline for me was they were ranked. I think they approached this game like we approached the Fairfield game, right? Like at the time they were ranked 25th and we were ranked 13th. We whooped them last year. I think they came in. You could just see from the energy they were like, "Nah, we want this one," and they brought a whole bunch of energy. Like I said, Kaya Smith, 27 points, 22. She was everywhere and doing everything. To me, that was the story of the game.
Let me tell you why I asked about her height.
All right.
This is a horrible analogy, but she reminded me of Bryce. You know what I mean? It's like, not sure how tall she is. She seemed like she plays well inside. She seemed like she plays well on the perimeter. She rebounds outside of whatever I'm thinking her size is. Like, man, she is just giving us work, man.
Yo, yes, she did, no doubt. She's 6'1".
Yeah, 6'1". I was looking it up, man. Chip, I'm glad you got on that fast. She played like she was about 6'7", though.
Right.
She was balling.
Right.
Just balling. 6'7", 6'7", 6'7", 6'7". Yeah,
how tall is not
6'1".
Nah, yeah, about 6'1", 6'2".
6'1", 6'2"-ish.
So I think Zoe. Yeah, I don't think Zoe's not in. I don't think she's 6 feet.
She is.
Yeah.
She is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
No, it's that's definitely a good take on that for sure. I was going to say that, we've had people have the games of their lives, and it was wild to watch that unfold because she started hot and never cooled down.
Yeah,
she never cooled down, and we were so fascinated with the rebounds that I kept forgetting that she was scoring so many points.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So that was about it, man. It wasn't too much else to say really about that Army game. So
so and again, this is our insight show. So I know that we had a few fans chime in. I won't out them on this particular episode, but we did notice that there seemed to be a difference in shot selection from our Lady Bison, and that led to some interesting rhythm in the game. I think to your point, EWash, Niall Miller continues to be consistent when she comes to the game. She scored a lot of points for us, got 8 rebounds. Didn't seem like a lot compared to Kaya, but she was definitely playing at a high level. And Zoe Stewart was scoring as well. So from an insights perspective, we're still seeing some solid production from at least 2 of our main folks. Zanaya definitely had a tough shooting night. I think she about 4 points, so that's uncharacteristic for her. But I think that having the ability to know who else can score is always been on my mind through the early part of the season, because we seem to be running the offense through Zanaya and then kind of setting everybody up from there. But now we see we can score from different levels. Still trying to get used to Ariella Hennigan, Chi-Town's finest, Kenwood's finest.
On a couple of the couple of studio guys seem to be impressed with her, on the dreams or something.
And make it very clear, she is very impressive. I think my challenge to you all is Chicago heads, which means your glasses are usually rosier when you think about Chicago. I am looking for. I'm looking for her. I'm looking for more.
You be loving my props now, and this is a recap.
It's okay. It's okay.
And
at least
she is from Chicago.
She is from Chicago. It'd have been a little tighter if you had put on a number 4 hat or something, but I guess we'll bear down and think about it. So the idea is that with Ariella running the point, and she's a scoring force. She defies all physics because she's a lot smaller than she plays in terms of physical size, but she's not scared to go in there and mix it up in the middle. I'm still trying to figure out from an insights perspective, how do we get her overall talent to kind of jive with getting more people involved in the game. So that's the part I think we saw a little bit of what can happen if it doesn't all connect during the Army game, especially if Zanaya doesn't have her production, and how do we make up for that? So we saw scoring from a few folks and we saw some moves, but I'm going to be be paying close attention to that as we get into conference play. So that's probably my big takeaway from the Army game. They played a solid game from beginning to end. Army played a solid game, and to your point, it wasn't as close as the score seemed to make it. We played as tough as we could, but we got off to a little bit of a slow start, and we just couldn't overcome that. And I think part of that was just the end of the non-conference schedule. But the other part, to your point, Chip, is our Army saw us as a target to say we're as good as one of these other mid-major ranked teams, and Howard is getting a lot of love as a mid-major ranked team, higher ranked than Army, So pretty cool.
Still or at the time?
At the time. I think when the new rankings come out, we'll see what changed during the new part of this season, because everybody's in conference play now. So I don't know how much that affects their mid-major rankings, unless of course you lose. You lose. So we'll see how that goes, right? So, but yeah, Army was interesting, and I think we learned a lot about the fact that even though our team seems pretty formidable when it goes to conference play, anybody can be beaten if we're not playing out our entire game the way we need to. So, this is good. So the idea then is that the next day, after enjoying the ladies play Army and a quick trip to New York, we got a chance to put our sights on a little north of Chicago. Our men were able to make a week of it. Yeah, you're gonna pull out a Northwestern hat now. This guy. Well, in lieu of not having the panels done for the scoring this weekend, I'll take the hit on that one. I appreciate all the impromptu props that EWash is bringing to the show today. But let's talk a little bit about the fact that we did play a Big Ten opponent to wrap up the non-conference schedule with the men. The Wildcats played like their nickname. They got a little wild on us. We played pretty tightly in the first half. What was the final score on that one, Chip?
Final score was 80-60.
Yeah. And that lets you know that we played strong for about a good 32 to 35 minutes, and then at halftime, because we were within three points at halftime.
31 to 28 at halftime.
That's right.
Kind of like what we were saying in the green room, though. Before we went on air, they're I'm not trying to go into Pyrrhic victory bag, but that about the time that Bryce went out, and he wasn't even scoring at that point. But I did not feel like, oh wow, they don't belong on the floor with Northwestern. I found myself saying, okay, and believe it or not, I found myself appreciating Duke University of all places because Chris Collins, another son of Chicago there, and shout out Doug Collins too. Quiet as kept, he's definitely been good for basketball. But without the Duke connection, I don't think this game is taking place. And I feel like the style of play, based on shout out Coach K2, allowed us to play our best basketball regardless of the length. I just think Bryce going out, man, was like that was a backbreaker to me right at that moment, because it seemed like he was starting to get his rhythm, and even though they had the length on us, and what's the other guy's name? Not the guy with the Italian day. He was killing us anyway, because I think he was
Nick Martinelli was putting the work in. He got 32 points. 32 points on us.
Yeah. But even though he was doing that, it wasn't keeping us from doing our thing, in my opinion. So I just felt like, man, once Bryce went out, man, it stretched us a little bit offensively, because I feel like he was starting to turn it on, man.
No, I agree. Not too much to add to that. When Bryce went out, like I said, I think it changed it just changed the momentum, the flow, and we could not recover after that. But I was glad to see Travell, came to life. 19 points. That was huge. I liked our guard play. Ose Okogie is continuing to blossom.
Yeah.
He had a real good game, against Northwestern, and his defense is just top notch. So continuing to look for good things for him. But yeah, like Eric said, I think once Bryce went out, it necessarily shouldn't have been that way, but it seemed to fall apart after that. So.
And see, B, you've been kind of highlighting him for a while. What is it you saw either before the season started that made you feel like he was gonna, show out not only the way he did with Northwestern, but kind of continuing on a trajectory that I feel like
you're talking about OC Okogie?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's a great question, and the quick answer for that one for me is that we still have elements of our championship DNA on this current team.
Okay.
We started the season letting you know that we have an overwhelming number of new players trying to come together as a team, but we have at least 2 folks that were on the championship squads. We talk a lot about Bryce because Bryce is a dog, and he's the one everybody game plans for. But OC Okogie was part of those teams, maybe not as big as he could have been, but he grew. And if you talk to him now, I had a chance to talk to him after a recent game, his whole attitude towards wanting to win, it sounds like a champion. He's like, I like winning. I want to win. And so he plays with a certain level of that Dream Factory culture, the EGBs, where he just embodies them, and he's figured out how to, he's got a little bit bigger, a little bit better with the ball handling, but he's not afraid to take over the game when it needs to be taken over. So we saw that in the Northwestern game. That was actually the coolest part, is that, Bryce didn't have his best shooting night, but, everybody else tried to play around that. So Cam Gillis had a pretty balanced deal. He didn't score a lot, but he had a lot of assists, which means he was getting people the ball. And, Cedric and everybody are still trying to work themselves up to, I think, the playing shape they need to be in. But OC Okogie was the one holding it together. Him and Travell basically let people know we were still in the game, even as it started to get away from us towards the end. We saw a lot of the bench get out there towards the end of the game. But, up until about, I would say 5 minutes left in the second half, we were still trying to make a push to close the gap. And it was good to see. I just think that the thing I took away from the game was that we still got some questions in the middle because Northwestern got away from their size in the first half, and that's what allowed us to play the way we want to play, right? It's when they went into halftime and said, wait a minute, you guys are bigger. And so when I look at, Martinelli and Trey Singleton, they both decided to say, we're going to play as big as we are. Right. And I don't care who you put on me. I'm going to break it down low, and you're going to have to stop me or foul me. And when, Trey didn't get most of his points to the second half, which means he decided, wait a minute, I'm the big guy out here. Right. We have some challenges. I think the cutoff line is 6'9".
Right.
Anybody 6'9" and over, we're having a hard time with. So my insight for you is that anybody who can expose our challenges in the middle, even if we move the ball the way we want to, we almost have to score so much from the outside and mid-range so people can't clog the middle. Well, we're not shooting threes really well. We can be taken advantage of. But that's me. That's me looking at that last non-conference game. It was a good one for us to match up with. I think, to your point, I'm starting to get away from, wow, I'm surprised to see us in these games with Big Ten. It's like just another jersey. We all got to lace them up and play. And I think we had a game plan. And I know, Chip, you heard about it. We had a game plan. And it seems like we got away from it when, Bryce was not as active as we wanted him to be. But we have game plans that allow us to compete. That's the big thing.
Yes.
We have game plans to compete.
Yeah. Well, one last thing then that I guess I would say, and I don't want to ruin our surprise for later, but it kind of ties into some of the ways you were able to convey your insights based on your new perspective and perch in South Carolina, right? One of the things you brought out was the length, right? And the first time this came up for me was at Cameron. It's like, oh wow, you know what? In person, it's a whole different perspective. Like, oh, that guy is really tall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other guy they're bringing in is also really tall.
Tall.
Right.
That's right.
And even though, I did not question effort in that Duke game. I didn't question whether they had fear. I did see that they were starting to try to run their offense and all of those things. But that length, man, and so to your other point, B, I think, and I think we have the coaching to do it, but it's going to require probably some in-season adjustments on our part to take advantage of the length that we do have. So I'm not gonna just to shout out my man Donis and hey man, we need you to we're gonna need you to change it up a little bit. That's all. Yeah.
All right.
I think if anybody can get him motivated, I think it's Chip. Chip is
Yeah.
Chip is the ultimate prognosticator, and he says that he just needs to figure out how to bring all his talents to bear. But
and I am gonna have to, even though we're not in the conference game, we're gonna get to that.
We'll get to that in a second.
I'm going to be issuing multiple apologies. To ease up on Chip a little bit. After that sojourn in Orangeburg.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a chance to see two quick games before the new year rang in. So those are the last little remnants of 2025. I can honestly tell you that, we saw some things that we had seen earlier in the non-conference schedule. So there wasn't anything too surprising. Nothing that would make me say, I can't wait to write that down and share it during my over or under reactions. It was, we know that if we're not playing our game, anything can happen. And if our star players, so Zanaya Thomas and Bryce Harris, aren't doing their normal Zanaya Thomas and Bryce Harris things, it does put more perspective on who else will step up and fill that gap. So there's going to be some fun mixing and matching. So we got through trips to New York, trips to Chicago, got some deep dish pizza, some fireworks, and some other cool things going on. Both teams had some fun giving back, because that's what we do, service and leadership. Truth and service is what we talk about at Howard University. But we know we wanted to get into the conference schedule now. So we did our preview episodes, dropped those over the holiday. Please check them out. We did one for the ladies and one for the men. Really insightful, probably too insightful, because to open up MEAC play, we had to make probably one of the longer trips for our team to make, and even for us as host, to get down to lovely Orangeburg, South Carolina, to be hosted by the Bulldogs of South Carolina State. The Lady Bulldogs and the men's team definitely wanted to let us know that they were maybe offended by what we said about them in our rankings.
I am so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So before we jump into it, because this is our first game, this good news is, as we move into conference play, many of our games are going to have double headers, so we'll be able to cover kind of bit by bit, point by point, what's happening. But we did make a road trip, so three of us were able to make our way down to Orangeburg, South Carolina. It's about 20-30 minutes southeast of Columbia, which means nowhere. And what happened is we actually had a chance to go down there, and EWash has been hinting at it in his own not so subtle way. We were asked to do something that wasn't necessarily on the cards when we said let's start the podcast. Chip kind of called us up and said, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" And before we could say yes, he had the first episode up, so we had to sign some papers fast so we get in on the next episodes. And 50 plus episodes later, we got a similar call from a friend of the show, Eric Grant. He's one of my fellow Mecca Society board members, one of our groups we shout out and help raise money for our NIL collective at Howard. And he said, hey, funny story. Most of our games for the MEAC are covered by ESPN. We should be able to stream them. I know many of you who watch this show know that you can watch many of our games on ESPN Plus, unless it's on a major network like ESPN University or ESPN. And most games are covered. But apparently, ESPN didn't bring the trucks down to Orangeburg. And so he said, hey, man, hey, Chip, you guys interested in maybe hosting a broadcast of both the men and women's games through the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast YouTube channel? And I don't know, Chip, you want to talk about it? Because I know my reaction was different than yours, but
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, let people know how it happened. Because if you're looking at it now, you'll see that we've been having fun with our little names. I'm still rocking Who Is Be Smooth on my Instagram handle. You know, check me out, follow me. That's where I'm doing all my media personality stuff because we're media now. But you can see that Chip has changed his yet again. It says Bison Brothers Network Media. So
you know what? I didn't even notice that.
That you got to pay attention to this kind of stuff. So,
wow.
So Chip, before we go any further, you a friend E Grant, Eric Grant, and got together and said, you know, what could we do to maybe support filling a void in Orangeburg?
So he sent the text, you know, and my immediate reaction was, whoa, how are we gonna do that? But trying to be nimble as we're expanding the Bison Brothers media landscape. I said, hey, let's make it happen. But I said, I gotta get my man Be Smooth. We gotta get everybody on the call because we gotta kind of talk this thing through. I mean, what are we doing here? And so, and also, you know, shout out to Will McKinley, the content and media guy for the men's team. And so Will said, hey, I got the camera. I just need y'all to open up the network and we can make this happen. And so, of course, we had to do a few test runs. It probably took us at least an hour.
But he only asked for 10 minutes.
Yes.
Well, you got to remember Be Smooth now. You already called him out on the, you know, how we got into it in the first place. You know, he already did whatever before we signed the papers.
Before we signed the papers, he was halfway down the place.
I believe I was getting screened on this call on Friday. Because I was sitting there about 30, 40 minutes and it just kept saying, host will let you in soon.
Hey, we had all kind of technical difficulties. And even a couple of our listeners and followers of the show, when they saw the notification, they chimed in and it was just like, what are y'all doing? So yeah, we tested it out in 4 or 5 different ways, and we finally kind of got a sense of an understanding as to how we could pull it off, the historic first Bison Brothers broadcast of a game, a live stream. The women and the men's games in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and Bison Nation, man, y'all showed up and showed out on the broadcast. There was so much participation on that show. I know.
Participation, man. That brother's doing his thing. This championships. This ain't potato chips.
It was the excitement.
It was the excitement.
But it was overwhelming to see the support. You know, like I said, shout out to Liv for hoops. And, you know, everybody kind of, you know, blasted that, hey, we're gonna be doing this because it was a need. You know, people wanted to see the game, and so I was so glad we were able to pull it off. And again, thank you, Bison Nation, for your support. And hey, you guys are now you're witnessing a first again on the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. We had our first live stream show. Shout out to B Smooth
Hercules.
handling some of the technical backgrounds. But man, nah, that was so cool. You know, we had our different roles. I was down on the baseline trying to do my Cracker Jack baseline reporting and not get run over by people.
Yeah.
You know, running into the stanchions and into the background.
Small gym.
Yes.
Small gym.
Yes.
Intimate gym.
Yeah.
Intimate gym. Well, I'll tell you what. So EWash, Chip does a really good job of romanticizing the difficulties of pulling off a show. And I know for a fact that he got me because not only did he ask for 10 minutes that turned into a couple of hours on Friday to figure it out. He said, man, we're going to set up the broadcast. We did everything to test the technical link, but he never said a word about, and I'm not going to be anywhere near the microphone when we start broadcasting.
Oh yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I told you right after the game, man, you did it. And I'll elaborate. You did a bang up job, man. You just, it's Chip, man. You know what I'm saying?
He said, y'all got that right. Y'all got that right. And I was like,
I feel so bad. I feel bad. I was looking like get to the halftime stuff.
I'm just trying to get through it. We're trying to figure it all out. And all you can see is Chip running around on the court, just taking pictures. So I said, okay, we're gonna figure out how we can all sit up there and do it. But it was still a high. I will tell you that I never imagined that being able to talk about and call the game, and actually a lot of comments from the fans that watched the show. We had some of our best numbers so far. We had for each game, we had over 200 or so concurrent folks just watching games, and this is people watching on their televisions. People sent me some snapshots. We'll get them up on our Instagram site, and we have people watching it on their phones. But what was cool is that because we had some difficulties with keeping the game going for the ladies, we learned everything we could. Right, we got the mistake pile just high enough so if you go back and watch the men's game, it's uninterrupted for about 2 hours or so, and we know we can do it. That's the thing. And you stay tuned, right? So
I'm going to say this to you, B. I'm sorry.
What's that, man? You don't have to apologize, man. This is your show too, brother.
This is, those T-shirts that go around and say you're your ancestors' wildest dream. I was so humbled, man. And I want to back up a little bit back to the Northwestern thing again. Why? And shout out Eric Grant, because a friend of mine called me. She happened to be, Chip knows this already. I don't want to say her name because she don't like that, but she happened to be in the restaurant.
Old girl will be on there. Let's call her old girl.
Okay. So she happened to be in the restaurant. Remember, because I remember you saying, B, hey, there's an event, and they're putting together an event. She was in the same restaurant with the team, and she called me. You would have thought that it was like a celebrity, like, oh, you got to call me back. I just saw such and so. And then she ended up meeting Eric Grant, and just what it shows me is the power of the village. You can't underestimate, participate not only in your own rescue, but showing yourself some love, man. Stop saying what can't happen. Stop saying what we don't do. That's, later for that, man. I was just overwhelmed, man. When I told my uncle, I called my uncle, and I said, hey, man, we're actually airing the game. He said, no, I get it, man. That's significant. That's significant, man. It kind of plugs into, what my good for basketball is going to be about.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, people got to stop thinking small. I feel like the fact that Coach KB is here, the fact that Coach Ty is here, and then us doing something like this, you can't underestimate it. For me, not only kind of following the history and that kind of thing, I'm gonna shout out my oldest brother too. And even though this is not a Howard moment, but at least he sent his child to Howard, right? But I think I've shared this with you guys before. He worked in corporate America a lot, and a lot of times in those environments, you know, a lot of things about where people went to school is going to come out. And inevitably, something about sports is going to come out. So you're going to always hear people talking about what, you know, Notre Dame, or, you know, and we happen to live at the UGA or whatever the something is, right? And, you know, I guess he kind of started getting a little fatigued. And he said, hey, you know, people would ask him, well, what's your school? And he would say what his school was. CB, I caught myself. I didn't say his school that time. You know,
I'm no longer worried about how you do that now.
he you know, he would say his school, and it was HBCU, you know, and they'd be like, never heard that. This and that. He's like, well, that don't mean I love it any less, you know. And I think that broadcast is the greatest expression of that kind of love. You know, because taking my children to those games, and I will say the school, schools, plural, as a matter of fact, you know, and to see my child on the sidelines of one of those institutions shows you the power of, you know, our kids are going to look at it the way we look at it. If we don't love it, how can you expect anybody else to love it? So instead of crying about what's not going on and this and that, blah, 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 doggone it, air a game. Do a podcast, buy a shirt, go to a game. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. That
was
you're dropping all kind of gems tonight, EWash. I hope you save a little bit for later, man. We still want to hear some coming with what's good for basketball, but I promise you, not only am I humbled by the opportunity that presented itself, I mentioned to Chip that two things. One, 2026 is only about 4 days in, and it's already showing out.
Right.
So I can't tell you that I had it on my bingo card that we would be broadcasting the actual games. I was just hoping for a watch party. Yeah, like we can be watching it and talking about it, because we could be entertaining, as I've been able to ascertain from everybody following the show. But if you told me we were going to broadcast an actual game and be talking and whole nine, I did not have that on my bingo card. And subsequently, the other thing that came to mind is that, you know, by doing things that, as you said, you know, thinking bigger, being bigger, we've squeezed the toothpaste bottle now. So we're fashioning and morphing our vision for what this can be every day now. And it's not, you know, all over the place. It's just saying that if we're here to tell the stories and we're here to get folks to understand why it's important to celebrate our HBCUs and see them as places of not only excitement, but a refuge where people can say, hey, I can come be my entire self and enjoy a game with my buddies and my friends and maybe some new friends. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. So it's not lost on me. And I think being in person for it and seeing it come together and then being a part of it, I'm still peeling away, you know, all the feelings and all the feels. The drive home last night was pretty exciting, because I had to sit there and just kind of sit in it, because, you know, I don't even my wife, who came down, Ruth, was like, man, you seem really focused. I said I was, because we were doing something new and definitely something that had not been done by us before. So it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. So we'll have more as we go. I know we'll probably see how we can chop up some of the footage there. Yeah, Howard basketball. And again, like I said, we had such a good time. There's a few things going on that we'll have to reveal after they get formalized a little bit. But, you know, I think we're looking at how can we keep some of this stuff going, right? Now that we know that we have, and I guess put it in other perspective, you know, we knew exactly how many people were watching the games and participating because of all of the comments that you and Chip and others were putting in. This is engagement that both teams want to be able to know is happening. So it's one thing to have cheeks in seats. It's another one to know that people are stopping what they're doing to watch and literally watch the games. I know Chip was noticing that as we got to the end of each of the games, when it seemed like we might not be able to pull out victories or get real close, you know, it seemed like we're not going to win, people would dip away. And then as soon as the score got closer, people would come back on. So it was funny to see how quickly people said, wait a minute, you said we back? And so seeing those reactions are it's all part of it. It's all part of what you were saying earlier. We got people who are becoming fans. And I think that's our ultimate goal is we want people interested to become fans and fans to hopefully become fanatic enough to support what we're doing here by being at the games and maybe even giving back to alma maters, not just Howard, but any other schools that they see fit. So it's pretty cool. So I love this, man. I love this. This energy is real. If you're tuning in to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, I am B Smooth. You got Chip Washington and EWash. We are the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast, and we are. So we're also part of. We are all part of the Bison Brothers Network as well. So stay tuned to see how that manifests and unfolds. But we do owe the people just a quick update to what happened here. So I know, as I told you before, now that we're in conference play, most of our conference matchups will be double headers. Well, we'll be able to cover everything kind of together. So Saturday, Orangeburg, South Carolina, January 3rd, was the opening for both our men and women's basketball teams. And I know in our preview shows that we have available on our YouTube channel, we talked a lot about where we thought teams might match up with us, even starting with the ladies. We know coming into the preseason and even now we're going in where our Howard women are listed as the top program to go after in the MEAC, right? And, of course, going in, South Carolina State wasn't ranked as high, but they played like they may have been mad about that. So Chip, why don't you take a moment?
Me and Amy.
Well, I'm just saying, let's start with the women. Because this is the punchline is we won the game.
Yes.
Yeah. But the way we talk about the game, you have to remember we won the game. Yeah. But let's talk about it a little bit, Chip. I know you were baseline. You got a chance to see everybody up close and personal. Let's let folks know what you saw as far as the game is concerned.
So kind of what I saw, and I'll, pull up a few highlights here. Make sure that's the setup here. So, the women came in, man, and I would say a carryover, maybe even a little bit from the Army game, is we were still missing a lot of shots. Yeah. And, kind of that the frustration and kind of what I saw even from the baseline is you could still see, there was good communication amongst, say when Ariella was running the point, but you could still see kind of the communication of trying to figure out how do we get this offense going, and I think that kind of contributed to some of the kind of the missed shots because it was still like a work in progress. And I think I don't know if, maybe we didn't expect South Carolina State to really come out and punch us in the mouth. But the fact that they did punch us in the mouth, they were up 5 after the first quarter. And then, we only outscored them by 3 in the second quarter. So having to adjust on the fly, deal with that, kind of a hostile environment and that team wanting to, kind of show who they are. Like I said, with the, they pressed us a little bit. They came to play, like we always say, conference play is something different. And so I was glad that we were kind of able to, pull it out 68-64 as the final score, but it was hanging in the balance pretty much till about 2 minutes to go.
Did you feel like they were too comfortable starting out?
Not necessarily too comfortable. I just don't think they expected clearly this speculation. I don't think they expected South Carolina to come out with that type of energy, in the beginning. And so they brought it to us. So,
okay. Yeah, I would say to add there, it wasn't about how we came out in terms of energy. I believe that because of how well we played in non-conference, we had a lot more material to scout. And it looks like their coach, shout out to the coaches for South Carolina State. It looked like they scouted us. They scouted us and said, hey, if we can slow down Zanaya and if we can minimize at least one other scorer, we can stay in this game. And, they have a lot of guards that were, when they were, it seemed like they were throwing up balls and they were going in. But after 2 or 3 times, it felt like that was their shots. but they were doing a lot. They had ball handling at most of their positions, and so it was I'm gonna say her name wrong. Imaya Harris. Imaya Harris had 28 points. 28 points in this game, right? 68-64. And so when I noticed they had scoring, pretty balanced scoring outside of that, everybody had 8, 7, 8. So they had scoring at almost every position. And I think for me, that was the part that, knowing that somebody scouted us really well, it felt like we may not have scouted them as well. But we actually feel like we can play with anybody. And if you look at the flow of the game, it was a surprise for us to be down at the beginning of after the first quarter. We were playing neck and neck, and all of a sudden it just seemed like we couldn't make a shot. But then each successive quarter, we just chipped away at that lead up until the very end. So we started playing our brand of ball towards the end of the game, but it wasn't pretty basketball. I think that's what we've been accustomed to in the non-conference schedules. When we're winning, ball's moving, everybody's flowing, everybody's getting their points. I mean, Zanaya wound up with 19 points, but it wasn't coming easy for her. She had to really buckle down in the second half. Zoe Stewart and Ariella both had double figures as well. So we have folks that were scoring, and Niall was the one who was keeping the energy most of the game. So she was my energizer bunny because she played, from the tip. She was in every loose ball, everything like that. So we had our motor going. We know defense is going to be part of our identity, but at the end of the day, we have to say, to Chip's point, we have to see our combination of players, show them something that maybe they hadn't seen before. And
you bring up a good point, and again, I'm gonna have to go back to the green room, and we were talking about people's familiarity, and when you're bearing down and you got coaching staffs that kind of cross and there's all that, hey, we know each other, this and that. You get comfortable like a pair of slippers, you get comfortable like a pair of slippers. And
I'm nervous. I'm nervous now because he's pulling out all kind of gear right now. I don't need to see everything.
What you have to do is, I really thought your scouting point was salient, to be honest with you. I'm like, wow, that is a great reference there, because the more people see you, and it also kind of ties back into my good for basketball thing of, people can see you all the time now because of the streaming.
That's right.
They don't have to travel. They can watch it on the loop. I was like, yeah, that's an excellent point. And then it also again made me wonder a little bit about the length again too.
Yeah, they
unlike the men, I think the women have length, at least on the front line.
You do,
but I don't think that they kind of back to that Army game. I don't think they played the exact same way that the Smith young lady does, in that where you're not sure of what their position is. Like I feel like our ladies play the post well, but I don't sort of see them as perimeter people and post people. You know what I mean? Like the way I see Bright. I see Bright, despite his height, as a post guy and a perimeter guy, So, I guess we're going to have to keep on seeing as we keep working our way through the conference. Y'all got me. I'm combing rosters myself now. Like, wait a minute.
Well, I will tell you before we move to our guys, right? That what was good to see, Eric, is we play each other twice. So the way it sets up in the conference, the strategy is protect your house, protect home, win a few on the road, and that give yourself the best seeding going into the tournament. I mean, that's where we're at now. So every road trip is tough because everybody's environment, although we didn't get the full force of it because it was still holidays, you can still feel that the energy in the room. It's not home. It's not the Burr. It's literally a place that you come into, you play, and then you leave. And so what I'll celebrate for South Carolina State is that, they've seen the rankings. They know where they are. But I tell you what, They said, you still got to play us. And what they were good about was making sure that they could keep us, from playing the brand of basketball we like to play, especially on offense. So they were doing a lot to disrupt everything. And I know that I learned a lot more being able to see how they were able to still get to the spots they wanted to, even though we had the length, right? We didn't have the size. Number 24, their center, she probably outweighed our center tens of pounds, just size wise. I'm just saying she could move people with what she was doing, and she didn't have to. She actually was very nimble, and when she got down on the block, you couldn't stop her. Like, it was like, hey, if you let her get inside, she's going to score. She just didn't get the ball a lot because everybody else was scoring. Everybody else scoring. So but the ladies pulled it out, and I think what was nice is that we've talked about how when we see a Coach Ty Grace coach team, they have a tendency to morph depending on the situations they're in. And I don't know, for me, that was the first time I was able to see how what we wanted to do wasn't working, and maybe number 2 wasn't working, but we got to the third frame of how we want to show up, and that worked. And it worked in enough time for us to be able to pull out a victory. So I think we got a wake-up call. That's probably the way I would kind of button this one up, is we got the wake-up call to realize that we're going to get the best of every single team in the league because everybody said we were number 1. We're going to get the best from every team because they said we were number 1. Right? Okay. Yeah. But that was cool. It was good. The broadcast was cool. We got a chance to get 2 or 3 streams going because we learned that we had to extend some time so we wouldn't get kicked out of YouTube. But we figured it all out because about 45 minutes after the ladies gave us an edge of the seat excitement, around their win, the men took the floor. And similarly, when we talked about him in the pregame or preseason, we had Howard ranked relatively high, but we also said, what, Chip? This is wide open. And we thought it was maybe 4 or 5 teams that could vie for the number 1 spot. Absolutely. It's wide open. And again, if you check out the episode, you'll see that we thought we were being relatively generous with the 4 or 5 teams that we thought were at the top of the league. Right. And I can promise you, South Carolina State wasn't one of them. Wasn't one of them. But when we get into the game here,
buddy.
I think that South Carolina State said we're one of the better teams. You should recognize they do have the Jalen Johnson. I think they're the preseason player.
Nothing but respect, because me and Solomon, my oldest son, we were all watching the game.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I had, energy like, man, they gonna come back. Kind of like today, but we'll say that for a second. they gonna come back, right?
So before you go any further, because I feel like you're gonna pull some other article of clothing off with Bears, and I don't need to say that right now.
Not yet.
But the final score was 58-57. We lost in a heartbreaker, last second shot. We had a lead with 1.2 seconds on the clock, and that was just enough time for Mr. Johnson to turn around.
Yeah, I'm gonna apologize to him too.
he hit the game winner.
Oh my goodness!
But to your point, we fought back in this game after being down. It was maybe somebody would say calling it ugly basketball would be too generous. It was uncharacteristically unesthetically pleasing. And so the idea is that we definitely went into I'm telling you this, EWash, is that no matter what team you see coming in for South Carolina State, not only did they have the number 1 player, or at least the top player ranked in preseason, but they had that size. It seemed like everybody they had on the front line was at least 6'10", 6'9", and they could jump out the gym. And as I told you early on in the show, this is where we tend to, if somebody's going to beat us, it's going to be because we are a little bit, small in the middle. And that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough if we play up the teams that have that size and get the ball to their big guys. That's going to be one of our toughest challenges. And Chip mentioned this as well. That's why the MEAC is wide open. So let's talk about it, Chip. What did you see? Because as you can see, these wonderful shots are from the baseline. Shout out to the refs. Shout out to the refs to keep standing in your way.
Yes. Yes. So what I saw, and I still say, and you know, one of our listeners, Coy Lindsay, he kind of, I would say we kind of went back and forth in terms of South Carolina State's prowess, but I was, you know, I knew their defense was going to be high level. Right. And I will still say that offensively, outside of Jaden Johnson, there really wasn't a lot to worry about. But their defense was so intense, and you know, we missed so many shots. Like, you know, we shot 30, basically 31% field goal.
Right.
If you know, 17% 3-point. I mean, and there was some clean looks, you know, like Alex Cotton. That's our 3-point sniper. You know, what was his he was 0 for 6. You know, on the 3-point line. Like if we could have hit, and you know, like I said, not even the contested shots, just some of the open bunnies and layups and open, you know, mid-range shots, I think it would have been a much different game. Because, you know, like I said, we would have, you know, Jaden, we could have said, hey, all right, we'll let Jaden get his, and, you know, we can kind of outscore everyone else. Right. So that's what I saw. Like, you know, like I said, they had a good defense. They pressured us, you know, the entire game. But I think it was just our lack of, you know, hitting shots that just doomed us. And you know, it's kind of hard to win when you missing, you know, you hitting shots at a 30.8% clip.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah. I still kind of want to circle back to Be Smooth though, man. I think, you know, or you all can speak to this more than me. Do you feel like the length, I don't want to say shocked them, but I think that length, you know, in other words, I feel like we get a lot of open threes or baseline, or at least, you know, corner threes and offense off of the baseline because we're able to pass on the interior. But I think because they have all of this length, that ease wasn't there. So those shots aren't as wide open as they might seem. They still seem like they were, by the time the ball got to them, even if they were trying to swing it, man, you know, like look how up that number 4. I think he's like 6'8", man. He's on that guy on the perimeter. It's not like he's looking like he can't move his feet or something. He is moving comfortably out there at the 3-point line on somebody that's nowhere near his height. And I don't think you can underestimate the effect that has on the way we run our offense. You know, even and again, it's not me taking a shot at Donis, but you know, he doesn't seem to be able to move his feet yet anyway, offensively or defensively, the way that their guys with size do. So we can't initiate offense the way we normally do, you know, or at least that's how it seems to me. So I think that comfort level isn't there the same when we trying to score the other ways.
And like I said, I just, you know, like I said, that hat tip to, you know, South Carolina State, like they play defense for the entire possession. Like they don't quit. And so to your point, E, like you got those long, lengthy hands during the whole shot clock. If before you may have been able to get an inside pass because maybe somebody gave up, you know, 2 seconds before. No, that's not. Coach Martin is a Bob Huggins disciple. They're gonna give you defense.
Nolan Richardson too.
They're gonna give you defense all the whole game. So to me that was the tipping point. So we'll see when they come to the Bird though.
Yeah. No, I agree with you guys. I think that missing all the shots is probably what made it feel worse. And I think this probably is the first game all season where everybody seemed cold. Like everybody was cold. They only had a handful of shots that went in, but when your shooting percentages is under 31%, you know, under 20% from the three, and that's what you were shooting, And even we missed a lot of free throws, which is even worse because we were
Right.
barely 60% on the free throw line. So the fact that we only lost by 1 is probably the way to look at it too, because with all the bad shooting, we still fought our way back into the game. And so we saw our defense pick up. So I don't think it's wholly, I couldn't put it all on the athleticism and the size or length of South Carolina State. We know who they are. They're an athletic team that will get up and down the floor 94 feet. They don't handle the ball extremely well. They do have a guy who's a clutch player. So they had a closer. And I think that's probably the only thing I would add to this conversation is I don't know who our closer is on the men's team right now. So we have a lot of talent. We got a lot of people. When nobody's making shots, it's kind of like, who's gonna close it out for us? And you got to have some closers in this game. And we talked about it in our preview show. It's got to start with the guards. Cam Gillis played a pretty good game. He kept us in the game most of the game, and it may be him. I just know that we need someone who can get their shot when they need it and at least set us up to be able to get in good positions for scoring at the end of games. The last 4 or 5 minutes are the most critical in MEAC play. So I know we learned something. I don't know if everybody was excited about losing because nobody likes to lose, but again, the scouting, tip the hat to the scouting. Both teams scouted each other very well. I just don't think that they realized that this guy that they said was the player of the year is pretty good. And for him to be as open as he was, or us having less than tall people on him at times, he took advantage of every moment that somebody not named Okoji was on him. He took advantage.
How tall is Johnson again?
Oh man, he can't be any more than 6 feet tall, if that.
That's what I thought. I thought he didn't seem like he was that tall, so
But he's highly skilled with the ball. He defies physics because he actually will go up against people that you don't think should get there. But he get anywhere on the floor. He was getting to anywhere on the floor he wanted to, and if anybody that was his height or less was on him, he took advantage, and he even took advantage of people taller. But he just,
like I told you, when we were watching the game and Solomon saw him break out on the baseline like that, I got to give you a little context here, right? So let me shout out my friends, the Lombards. They some basketball fanatics too, right? And the first time we saw a last-second shot and we labeled it devastation was when John Stockton beat the Rockets on the buzzer beater. He's like, oh, devastation, right? And then when we saw the second one, like, well, that was devastation part 1, right? I can't remember what the part 2 was, but I'm telling you, when my man broke out on that baseline, I was like, oh, devastation part 3. Because as soon as it got in his hand, I'm like, ooh, that's gonna be a problem.
It's a heartbreaker. It's a heartbreaker. Him getting the ball, him turning around and making the shot with 0.8 seconds left. So he had it and knew he was going to shoot it. No question about it. But
man, I was in my feelings on that one.
Oh yeah, we still are. We still are.
That's it right there. Oh
boy.
Oh my gosh, the closing. Yeah. Nobody. I think they were nervous because we took the lead. So Eric, they were playing and saying we had these guys wherever we wanted them, and we took the lead with like 1-point-some seconds left. They called a timeout. They said, "Here's what we're running. Give the ball to Johnson." And guess what? He delivered. He delivered. So
I will be issuing
first game.
About MEAC.
Yeah, well, I can promise you now, we'll get into it in a second here with our over-under reactions. But as far as the first game is concerned, both were highly entertaining from a competitive standpoint. They weren't as pretty to look at times. It definitely gave us some concern along the way. But, we split the games. The ladies took home their first victory of the conference season. The men took their first loss of the season, but all is not lost. As we know, even in our championship runs, we had a couple of fits and starts during the early part of each of those conference seasons. And it's not how you start, it's how you finish. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. So we're going to take a quick break. Man, this is great, man. Thank you for allowing us to rock with you and tell you about our cool experiences. We love being able to bring you something that hadn't been done before in terms of a full broadcast of not 1, but 2 MEAC games that, as I like to say during the broadcast, no ESPN, no problem. No ESPN, no problem.
Oh, we love that beat. We was loving that.
You like that? You like that one?
Tired of hearing that.
Oh man. Well, so we're gonna come back with some over and under reactions. Be back in a moment here. Hey, welcome back to the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. I'm your boy B Smooth, still the lover of all things Howard and the lover of all things basketball. We got your boy Chip Washington, the #1 fanatic, and EWash with the Basketball Jones, Basketball Jones, and probably some more Bear stuff to show us because he's such a Bears fan.
Absolutely. I feel like our relationship is so good. I get so comfortable just laying on my pillow,
Oh my gosh. This guy.
He brought it. The new year, 2020.
The new year. I promise you, Chip, we were looking for some sponsors for the show. We're gonna have to call up the Bears because this guy is giving it up for the Bears. Has nothing to do with the Bears. We don't even talk about football unless this is the Bears. And here we are.
Gave my boy Wheeler some love, though.
Yeah, for a few minutes. That's not gonna last very long, bro. It's not gonna last very long. But we're at the part of the show where go ahead.
Yeah, but so I think it's like the Chinese. They always have the they give a name for the New Year's, like So 2026 is the year of the props for EWash. Yeah, he done put out like 8 or 9 props.
Oh my gosh,
this is the first show. So
that's right. And as we said in the beginning of the show here, definitely chime in. I know for those who watch the broadcast, let us know, what your favorite parts of the programs were over the weekend. And even today, hear us with our expert analysis. Challenge us. Let us know where we may be able to look and find out other insights that can help us make sure we're figuring out the right path to championships here. That's what we're trying to get to. So we're in the over-under reaction phase. Who's up for an over-under reaction today?
I'll start. I'll say,
all right.
You cannot overreact to what length will do to your offensive scheme. And you can't underreact to the advantages of scouting. Yeah.
Okay, he's got a double. He got a 2 for length and scouting. Length and scouting, right? All right, Chip, what you got for us today, man?
Hey, my overreaction is probably a tangential to what EWash just said. From a length standpoint, we are going to have to play some more length if we're going to do some depth because the MEAC is not getting shorter as we go through conference play. Right. Look, this is the KB look in the camera moment. Now, I don't know because we're not in practice, so I don't know everything that's going on. But we got my man Julian Johnson, who is 6'9".
6'9".
We got a 6'9" forward sitting on the bench. We got to see some more of him during conference play because the MEAC is not getting smaller. And I think we need to see more of Jeremiah Johnson just from an EGB standpoint. The pressure and the defense that he could put, Jeremiah on Jaden, it still might have been the same result, but put him, give him 5 minutes on the star player. We got some, like you said in the preview show, we got some guard play in the MEAC that's going to be elite. If you don't want to tire out Cam and OC as your primary defenders, we throw Jeremiah out there for about 4, 5, 6 minutes to annoy the star guard on the other team. So my overreaction, if we don't play the depth that we have, this is going to be a long season in the MEAC.
That felt very personal, Chip. Very personal. It was a reaction that was tailored, curated for the men's basketball program, and specifically Coach Kenny Blakeney. Shout out to Coach KB. Poopy Poopy, we're talking to you, bro. We just want to make sure we're using all our pieces. We know we got to put something together to make that run, and you're an expert among all of us on the show here. But we don't grow at halftime. We don't grow at halftime. That's real. Right.
I'll just say again, especially since Chip passed on my message to Coach KB about some of our legal entanglements. I want him to know that I got confidence, man. I got confidence that he's going to be able to scheme us through all of the things that you all are very accurately bringing up.
I love it. Yeah, for the real quick, man. I'll be brief on this. I'm gonna look at the ladies on this one. So, as you've been, nothing more to add for the guys. There's something to learn here, but for the ladies, my overreaction is I want to know, how do we make sure that we get better assists on the team as a whole, because we got too many talented players who can score, but not enough folks that are getting people the ball where they can score. Right. So we need to spend a little bit of time to make sure that somebody's driving that move so that teams can't lock in on Zanaya. They can't lock in even on Nile. They have to have someone. They got to move all over the court because we got scoring at every position. We just got people moving around. I know we play defense. So Coach Grace, Coach Davis, you guys are still kind of forming and molding. Just my reaction is, hey, we gotta see that ball get around so people can score in better positions as we get into it, as we saw early in MEAC play. That's my big one for this week. I reserve the right to consider more as we go, but just with a one game sample in conference play, we know for a fact that everybody's going to bring their best. So that's probably my underreaction, is everybody's going to bring their A game towards Howard, especially the ladies, since they're predicted to be the number one team at the end of the conference play. And we still can do it. We start off 1-0. We're going to have a pretty good run. I just know that every night's going to feel like a championship. Every night.
Yeah.
Cool. This is good, man. Like I said, I know we're moving through it. This episode is a little bit longer than normal, but that's okay because we were excited and we had some things that we were doing that were different for us. So continue to rock with us. Up next, though, we're going to get into what's good for basketball. We're going to get in what's good for basketball. So coming up after a quick break, we're going to hear from E. Washington and what's good for basketball.
For the culture, real proud of my people. 15 undefeated. Who else got this eagle? Howard University, best to ever do it, G. HBQ worldwide, running for eternity. For the culture, real proud of my people. 15 undefeated. Who else got this eagle? Howard University, best to ever do it, G. HBQ worldwide, running for eternity.
Welcome back to the show. We've been having a blast recapping our first MEAC games and getting a little bit of over-under reaction, and of course celebrating the inaugural broadcast of the Bison Brothers Network of actual MEAC games. Big things happening over here, Bison Brothers Basketball, and the podcast. We're into the section of the show where we hear from EWash. He brings us a little bit closer to not only our love for basketball, but what is good for basketball. So I want you to take it away here. We're going to focus the spotlight on you, brother.
I appreciate that. Be Smooth. And but I will say this. I like it better when I can see y'all faces while I'm doing it. But
that's too bad.
But my thoughts about what's good for basketball on this particular occasion came about because, as I often mention, my sons are also sports people that love sports, and because one of them is on home for break, we live in Atlanta, as y'all know, so we were trying to watch the Hawks. It's like, oh man, we're gonna watch the Hawks game. And then I realized, hey, now that the NBA has changed up everything, you can't watch a game on Friday on ESPN anymore. You got to have Amazon Prime, right? I was like, dang, man, there's no more TNT, so you're not watching the game on Thursday. Like you used to be able to. All you had to at least have was cable, you know. And I'm like, dang, man, you know, how we gonna watch the game? So I kind of started giving my feelings a little bit like, man, they putting us in a box with this streaming. Like, man, I can't watch no hoop unless I've got 50 million streaming services or something. And then along came, you know, the Bison Brothers seminal moment this weekend of streaming the game ourselves. I said, oh, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. You know, maybe I'm looking at this wrong. I still feel like the NBA isn't doing itself any favors necessarily, because as my son pointed out to me, the NFL is actually more popular, right? They get more viewers, and they still sort of adhere to a traditional media presentation for their product, if you will, right? But, you know, after I started listening to B describe the enthusiasm and seeing people in the comments myself, and, you know, again, you know, I'm gonna kind of toggle back to how awesome it is to do something for yourself, right? And to see what's the potential for what streaming can do, to make yourself available as a program to the people that want to see you. You can't underreact to that. You know, it is really amazing to be able to jump on your phone no matter where you live, you know, to jump on your computer. Heck, I have to be honest, and Chip knows this. I was at work watching the Army. Let me apologize to my patients that day. I might get back for this one, but you know, hey, yeah, I was like, ooh, this is a pretty good game, you know. And it's just I think in the right hands, it is definitely a tool to enhance the appreciation of the game, you know, making the game available, especially on this level. Oh, because here's the other component. Since we've been doing this podcast, you know, sometimes I have to like, oh, you know, the whatever I would normally watch is on, right? But then I started having to make some decisions. Am I going to watch Howard, or I'm going to watch whatever else is available, right? But because I also have Howard picked as some of my favorites on the ESPN platform, right? I get all the notifications. I get, you know, boom, boom, boom popping up. And I still love seeing it right next to, you know, I'll do you a solid B. I love seeing those scores pop up with the 49ers score, right? With the Bulls score popping up. It's like it's all in the same feed because the platform doesn't discriminate. These are the things you picked as your favorites, and we're gonna give you as much information as we possibly can about what you designated as your interest, right? And you know, there's no load management in Bison basketball. You ain't got to worry about, other than, you know, because of scheme, whether you go get to see your favorite player. You know what I mean? And I think it is not only for myself rejuvenating or intensifying even more a love I have for sports in general, and basketball even more. It just keeps embodying the whole point in the first place. You know, I think we've spoke about this before, or I mentioned it before, but we've talked about this when Solomon who's my oldest son, who attends Tuskegee. Y'all know this already. And he's GA, right? I was like, oh man, they're playing Jackson State. I'm not going to get to see him. Went through a few apps, SWAC TV. Next thing you know, I'm watching Jackson State and Tuskegee, right? And to hear him even talk about after he went on that road trip, shout out Jackson State, you know, to see the love that they have for their institution, I think that's a HBCU thing in general, So I guess to sum it all up, streaming is good for basketball. At the end of the day,
streaming is good.
It gives us an opportunity to appreciate the game that we love in a way that we couldn't before.
I dig that. You took me around the barn on this one.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure where you're going there, but I got it. Streaming is good for basketball. Shout out to ESPN, shout out to Peacock, shout out to Prime, shout out to everybody who's got my money right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it in. YouTube TV, shout out to YouTube TV as well.
No doubt.
And most importantly, shout out to YouTube for making us able to have a channel that we can actually broadcast from the Bison Brothers Network. I like that. That's good stuff. Thank you, E. You always bless us with something to make us think about what's good for basketball. And tonight you did not disappoint, brother. I appreciate you. All right, man. So
too though.
Say it again.
I said it's a blessing to work with y'all, man. It's like I said, I want to shout out Eric Grant. Obviously, Be Smooth to the way not only that you handled Saturday, but I talk about my children and their HBCU experiences, but for your children to be at Howard like that, that says something about how they was raised, brother.
How about that?
Yeah, man.
It's all on their mother who went to A&T, North Carolina A&T. she saw the light. I'll make sure I play this clip for her a little bit later. But yeah, man, no, it's been a blessing. As we know, this is something that has been somewhat ordained. No one thought we'd be doing what we're doing right now, more than just maybe doing a couple of highlights each week. And so we're definitely not scared to see how far this will take us. This has actually been a pretty cool role to be on. And as I like to tell my folks, hanging out two of my favorite people every week, it doesn't make it bad at all. It doesn't feel like work. And
to piggyback on my old man, it's a poor frog and no praises old pond. I have to give kudos to my brother, Booker T. Washington III, man, to to had a vision and the energy and the enthusiasm about that goes a long way, to helping the rest of us. I can't speak for B, but no, I need to get on up and whatever else I got going on, I need to put some energy here. So kudos to you, sir. Now hopefully you won't be like Puffy and then me and B at the locks.
And the problem is there was a beautiful moment there. There was a beautiful moment. I almost teared up on that, and then it's gone. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know.
I love him.
Yeah, I could tell. It's the Bison Brothers Basketball Podcast. The emphasis on brothers. They are definitely giving each other some brotherly love today. So I appreciate it. So, hey man, this has been a good episode, bro. We covered a lot of ground. Biggest thing is we're in MEAC play now. So our updates coming up will be all about the MEAC for the most part. We got one game on the schedule coming up Martin Luther King weekend. Big Joker weekend, we like to call it here at Bison Brothers Basketball. We playing Morehouse at the Burr. But next week, we look forward to the ladies kicking off another game with Delaware State, the Hornets. They're going to come to the Burr, and then both our teams are going to travel over to Maryland Eastern Shore, or UMess, as we like to call them right here, University of Mess, in Salisbury, Maryland. So we're going to have some updates for you in the next week or so, but just keep tuning in. We definitely love being able to bring you all insights into the program and really hopefully develop your fanhood, because that's what we're trying to find, is one fan at a time. So Chip, it's that time. Let's close this out, baby.
Bison Nation, continue to support these teams more so now than ever. The teams need your support, and you can do that in so many ways. Donate to the MEAC Society, donate to the Bison Express Booster Club, and donate on FanStake. Everybody, we need all of Bison Nation to chip in to continue to support these teams. Continue to go to the games. And as always, please tell everybody about this podcast. You can hear us on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, and you can rock with us on Instagram at Bison Brothers Basketball. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell us your comments about this show, what you're thinking. Put it all down there. Interact, Bison Nation, and make it happen. And as EWash lifts up his Howard basketball shirt, and we close out this show in the only way that we know how, in the true Howard spirit, and that's H-U.
You know.
Thank you.